Hello, my name is Angela Sajak Brook from Angela Brook Art. In case this is the first time listening to my videos, I do Facebook Live on 7 from our Facebook page, Angela Brook Art, and I love teaching art journaling. I feel like it makes you a better artist, and my goal is to create. 3 years ago, I made the goal of I was going to paint on a canvas or in my journal every day. Sometimes it might only be for 5 minutes, but since I made that commitment and have been sticking to it, I feel like my art has gone to a whole new level. So I paint trying to sell my work. You might just be a hobbyist, but I feel like color theory is important whether you are a hobbyist, and understanding your colors will really help. And even working just that little bit every day will make you a better hobbyist. So I actually do this with my colors. Yes, I do. So I use Golden, which is a professional grade paint. So I use mostly Golden on my paintings, or for certain sunsets I use Matisse. This is a thicker paint. I love it. And then occasionally I add Holbein, the professional grade. So those are for my paintings, but that paint ends up in my journal. So whether it's in my journal or on a painting, I want to know what that paint can do. And I used to buy a lot of paints. Sometimes it was because you would take a class and they would require all these paints. And my earlier paintings, the ones that I like the least, are ones that have a whole bunch of colors on them. So what I've been learning is, as I fine-tune my colors and limit my palette, yes, limit my palette, I believe my paintings come out nicer. And I'm pushing the limits, I'm pushing the color, and I get more out of it by limiting. It's actually freeing. So how I do that is by actually figuring out what all my colors do. I need to know what they look like. So here is the grid. And to make this, you can use a piece of cardstock. And what I did was I use a brush. I just use a smaller brush. You can draw squares, you can draw circles. I just keep that brush that size, and then that's what I dab. And so what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to list my pure color. And you'll see those on there, and I put a square around those pure colors. Then I mix that color with every other color that I have, so I can see what I can mix. Then I also add white and I add black, because both of those will totally change your color. And you could actually do an entire painting with one color, white and black. So a painting is not meant, and by using one color, that doesn't, or using a few colors, that doesn't make it boring. You can actually use different shades of that color. So to get started, what you do is you take, I'm going to put the camera down. I think the camera is down. So the first thing you do is, I have my little thing of water here for my water. I'm going to first put the color by itself, okay? And that is Cad Yellow, I believe. Yes, this is a Premier. Oh, this is called a medium yellow. This is a Premier. Now these are the paints that I use I have 4 grandchildren, and I love journaling with them. I love painting with them. So these are the paints that I use for that. Liquitex Basics. I took a journaling class online, and they had us use all these. But so this, if you don't want to use a professional grade if you're not an artist, but so if you want to, need to buy a paint, those are not bad brands for art journaling. But I do this with all of my paints, whether they are, the professional grade or the other ones. So let me get my water. I really got to get that out of my brush. Really, really good, so they don't mix. So now I have the straight color, and then I'm going to put the next straight color. That's what it looks like, unmixed. And then I'm going to mix that with the yellow. So now I have those two mixed together. And you can see that's a combination of that. So now I would know if I want that orange, I don't have to go out and buy that color. I can actually mix it myself. I can't express enough. The time that you take to do this will be so worth it, because learning color is huge. No matter which products you're using, you really want to know what they can do. Okay, and that is a Liquitex Quinacridone Magenta. It's a beautiful, like a pink color. So now I'm going to mix. Probably takes longer to clean the brush than it does to anything. So now I'm going to mix the yellow. I mixed the yellow and the orange. Now I'm going to mix the yellow with the magenta. And that is, I'll show you. And I'm going to put it up here. This is the pure yellow, and this is the yellow and that, and this is yellow and the magenta. That's amazing that you would get that color out of magenta, but you do. Now I'm going to take, and you would probably have more than 3 colors, so yours, like you see on my chart, it would end up being bigger. But if you have only 3 colors, that's fine. So now I want to take my, and I mixed in equal parts. You kind of have to have equal parts to make it consistent. So there, I'm mixing my yellow and my white, and that's a pretty, look at out of that yellow. So that means I don't have to go buy that yellow if I want to use a lighter yellow. I just need to add white. You can also add gesso as a white. I use gesso a lot instead of white paint. So now I want to add to the medium yellow, I want to add some black. This is really fun, what the tones that you can get. It makes it almost looks like definitely dulls the yellow down, I'll show you. It almost looks like a green. It looks like that would make like a nice green color for like weeds. So there you have it. So I encourage you to go through all of your paints and mix them, put what they look like individually, and then go across and mix. And you can write, if you see on mine, I actually write what they are. You're not going to remember. Well, you might, but I find it easier. I just write what they are, what the colors are. So then when I go to it, it's like my own mixing guide. If let's say I want that color, it tells me exactly what it is. And I mix them equal parts. And you can see on here I just used little dabs. So now I want to show you how you could, just with one color, by learning how to use, we'll use a journal page for this. And you know, those colors will end up in the page, and that's okay, because the thing is, if we don't like it, we can put gesso over it. So don't be afraid by how ugly some of your pages look when you start putting that extra paint on there. So I'm going to show you with just yellow. That's a common color that you might use. And I'm just going to put some on the page. And I'm going to put some white on there. And then I'm going to put some black. And you can do an entire picture, because what you want to do is you don't want to have all the same. You don't just want to do a page with just solid yellow. You want to limit your palette, but you don't want to do it all with just one color. So I'm just using a 1-inch brush. So here we go. And then look, we mix the yellow. And we want to mix it. We don't want to keep it. And if you have too much paint, you can always wipe it off on your palette. Sometimes it's hard to judge how much paint you're actually going to get on there. If you want to mix it there with the white. And I kind of like that contrast there, so I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to smooth it all out. I like some of that contrast up there. And now I can rinse my brush. I can get all that white out of it. So I can go back to having that more pure yellow color. And now look what happens when we I'm going to put a little more yellow on there. And I hope you have fun. I hope these videos inspire you, encourage you, just have fun. And that's what art journals are for. It's too expensive to practice all this stuff on canvases. But by practicing in a good, well-prepared art journal, you can do a lot. So I have too much, so that's just gonna go on my palette. So now when we start coming over here, and I don't want to mix it all together. I want it to remain separate. Now I'm not painting any shapes, but I've seen paintings where they actually paint, you know, they use the black to paint a cat and the yellow's kind of behind it. There you go. It's one color mixed with black and with white. And I probably have too much on there. And that's what it looks like. So, is it a masterpiece? No, but I like it because it's not. I like the sharpness of the contrast. I'll show you. There's one area I don't like. So before it dries, I will certainly straighten it out down here. I don't always like to see brush strokes. And if I keep over mixing, I'm gonna make mud. So I could also, if I didn't like that area there, the other thing you can do is, while the paint is still wet, you can scrape this off. You might like it on there, but I like to change it up a little bit. So there you go. I just added some design to my page. And that was using one color, but it does not look boring at all. You have nice contrast, and that will finish up nicely. So I hope this was helpful. Get your piece of cardstock and go ahead and just start practicing with all your colors. It will be well worth the time. Thanks for stopping by and supporting this YouTube channel. Love you guys. Happy creating, happy journaling.